You're comparing your foundation to someone else's rooftop. Don't do that. See, today, let's talk about the Cathedral Builders. We've become so addicted to instant results. We expect our business to explode in 3 months. We want our investments to double overnight. Everything meaningful in life, it grows slowly. The difference wasn't the task, it was in the vision. Purpose changes ordinary work into meaningful work. So my challenge to you, stop asking, how fast can I get there? And start asking, what am I building? Because when you know you're building a cathedral, laying one stone today doesn't feel so insignificant. It feels essential. All right, let's go. If you're tired, not feeling fit, tired, just not having to focus, tired, just not having the life that you deserve, this is the place to be. I'm Jason Yarusi. Today, let's talk about the Cathedral Builders. Imagine at one point in time, you were given the opportunity to build the most fascinating building the world has ever seen. Just truly transcendent, that beyond what the mind can imagine, that you were given that opportunity, that you became the one to build it. But there's just one thing. As part of this process, you would never, ever get to see it finished. Would you still show up to work tomorrow or just even start this process? You know, this question's fascinated me for years, because for hundreds of years, that's exactly what's happened across Europe. You know, many of these cathedrals that we admire today, they weren't built in 5 years. Or even 10. Some of these took decades, centuries, hundreds of years to be built. Think about this. You know, a stonemason could spend just 40 years or more carving pillars, arches, and walls, knowing full well that what he was working on, he will never get to see finished. And maybe even his grandchildren could never even fully admire the full scope of the work that was invested. He laid stones for a future that he would never experience. Today, we've become so addicted to instant results. We expect our business to explode in 3 months. We want our investments to double overnight. We go to work out and we can't understand why we don't have six-pack abs in 6 months. We want our marriages to just be perfect, right? That they thrive without actually ever putting in the intentional work. Everything, it's become about speed, right? AI today, we're not even thinking anymore because we're using AI to predict our thoughts or just put out our emails, right? And to forecast all of our results. Everything meaningful in life, it grows slowly. You know, there's this old story where there was these 3 stonecutters, and a traveler came up to the first one and said, "What are you doing?" And he replied, "I'm cutting rocks." The traveler then went to the second one. "Well, what are you doing?" And that second one said, "I'm earning a living." Finally, he asked the third one, and that man smiled and said, "I'm building a cathedral." You know, all 3 of these men were doing the exact same thing, the same work, just the difference wasn't the task, it was in the vision. That's true in our lives. You know, one person, they see someone that is making a sales call. Another sees it as a workout. Another sees it as a bedtime story for their children. But someone else understands is that I'm building trust. I'm building discipline. I'm building a family. I'm building legacy. Purpose changes ordinary work into meaningful work. And history, it gives us incredible examples of this. The builders of the Great Wall of China didn't complete it in a single generation. It evolved over centuries throughout dynasties. You know, generation after generation added another section. It just hundreds and hundreds of miles. And they understood that something we forgot. Great things, they're not inherited. They're rarely created overnight. And the same truth is of our business, our family, our faith, our character. These aren't built in moments. They're built throughout thousands of faithful days. You know, I think about my own life. People might see investments into apartment communities, into my businesses, into these podcast episodes in investments. But that's not really what I'm looking at building. I'm trying to build men and women who think differently. I'm trying to build a family who knows integrity matters. I'm trying to build a reputation that my kids can be proud of long after I'm gone. You know, one of the greatest things I can do today is to invest in my kids that in the future, when they're poised to make decisions in challenging times, that I prepared them, that they can have the thought process to look at that challenge and make a clear choice of how to proceed. Things don't happen because of just one speed or a speech, one deal or a podcast, they happen because you choose to consistently do them over decades. And the danger in our culture, social media, it's convinced us that everyone else's cathedral was built overnight. Oh, look at this person. They've done so well, right? Look at this other person. Man, well, look at what they have, right? That they've all had this. And you don't see the 20 years of invisible mornings. You see this championship, not the empty gym. You see the business, not the years of rejection, the pushback, the failures. You see a marriage, not of the investment, of the conversation, of the time spent to be a great couple together. You're comparing your foundation to someone else's rooftop. Don't do that. I mean, the Bible says in Galatians, let us not grow weary in doing good, for all the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Notice it doesn't immediately say, it says a proper time, not right away. The harvest has a schedule. Your job is simply to keep planting. So my challenge to you, stop asking, how fast can I get there? And start asking, what am I building? Because when you know you're building a cathedral, laying one stone today doesn't feel so insignificant. It feels essential. That workout today, it matters. That meeting has to happen. The prayers, daily. Bedtime stories, the hard conversations, every stone matters. One day, someone else may stand inside the life that you've built and never realize how many quiet days it took to get there. But that's okay. That's okay because the cathedral builders never needed applause. They simply knew that what they were doing, the work, mattered. So remember, you may not control how quickly your cathedral rises, but you absolutely control whether or not you lay another stone today. All right, that's what I have for you today. This is the Live Winter Podcast. I'm Jason Yarusi. Let's do this.